After more than 5 years of sim racing, I've seen a lot of trends come and go. But the sims that really stick with you, man, they all seem to get a few key things right. So this isn't a review or a ranking, just the things I wish someone had told me before I bought into some of these titles. And I have to start with just how intuitive the driving feels. You shouldn't have to fight the sim to enjoy driving. It should pull you in. And honestly, it should just feel fun to drive around the track. Because here's the thing, driving a racing car is a difficult skill and it takes time to build up. But in a good sim, that skill gap doesn't really matter at first. You'll still have a smile on your face just attacking the track on your own. Even without fighting for wins, if the driving feels natural and responsive, just throwing the car into the corners can be a joy in itself. That's when you know the sim is doing something right. When it makes learning the craft feel rewarding instead of frustrating. Which brings me to the second point. You want to invest your time in a sim that's actually going somewhere. Something that's growing, or at least it's still being worked on and improved. Because let's be honest, getting comfortable with a sim, it takes time. You're learning the cars, the tracks, the feels of the physics, and that's a big investment. So it makes a huge difference if the sim is actively evolving. Better features, new content, or regular updates. It doesn't have to be perfect right now, but it should feel like it has momentum. I've been in sims where everything felt great, but after a while the community faded, updates slowed down, and suddenly it felt like a dead end. That's not where you want to put your hours. You want a sim that grows with you. And that kind of leads into the next thing, which is how each sim has its own driving style. Even the ones that aim to be super realistic still have their own feel, their own quirks. Some titles strike a nice balance. They teach you good habits that carry over into other titles and even into real life. But there are others that feel almost too specific. The way the car handle is so unique, so particular to that sim, that when you try to drive something else, everything falls apart. It's like learning to race inside a bubble. And that's fine, you know, if you only ever plan to stick with that one sim, it's okay. But for most people, it makes more sense to grow in an environment that prepares you for more than just its own ecosystem. Now, of course, all of that also depends on what you're actually looking for in a sim. Some people just love being alone on a track, just doing laps, chasing that perfect lap. But others, they are in it for the wheel-to-wheel racing, going side by side with real opponents, the strategy, the pressure, and there are plenty of folks who just want a clean, casual race against the AI, where they can enjoy the experience without the stress or consequences of competitive online racing. So what makes a sim good can vary a lot depending on your goals. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, and that's totally fine. What matters is whether the sim supports the kind of experience you actually enjoy. And sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what you're looking for right from the start. The best way is to find a sim that can support all the options. Whether you want to drive on your own, race against AI, or go wheel to wheel with other people. I've had friends start off just hot lapping or driving casually, and then later they realized they want to try online racing. But the sim they were using had so few active players that finding good races was nearly impossible. And by that point they were already invested, financially and with their time, which makes switching to something else a lot harder. So if you can, it's worth thinking ahead. Try to pick a sim that gives you options, even if you're not planning to use them all right away. Another thing that really affects how much you enjoy a sim, especially early on, is how easy it is to get your hardware working properly. I've had situations where the wheel and pedals were technically connected, but the settings were so far off that the car felt completely wrong. And at first I thought, the game was the problem, but it wasn't. I just hadn't set it up properly for that specific sim. And honestly, that's not the player's fault, because a good sim should make that process as smooth and intuitive as possible. You shouldn't have to dig through forums just to make your wheelbase feel right. It should recognize your hardware and give you a solid baseline to work from, just from the get-go. And that ties straight into the force feedback, one of the most important parts of the whole experience. It doesn't need to be super strong or full of raw texture, but it does need to be clear and believable. Good FFB gives you confidence. You feel what the car's doing, you trust your inputs, and you don't second guess every slide or bump. When force feedback is done well, it disappears. Not because it's weak, but because it just makes sense. And with some simulators you get this just from the get-go. Just from entering the sim, just clicking starting a race, and that's it. You don't have to tweak much to have a nice FFB feel, and therefore your starting experience is already good. So with all this in mind, I want to leave you with a few suggestions. Not as definitive answers, but as good starting points depending on what you're looking for. If you're into single player driving and you want to try virtually any car on any track, Assetto Corsa is still hard to beat. The modding community is just incredible. There's so much content out there and it's a great place to explore the joy of driving on your own, plus it's not that expensive. Literally the game can be bought for like $2 at sales, so honestly it's probably the best choice. Now, if what you care is just the joy of pushing the car to the edge lap after lap, I believe Automobilista 2 is where I've had the most fun. It feels incredible, it feels just right, it has a lot of options, and the driving, once again, it feels amazing. But if you're looking for something that brings it all together, you know, strong AI, online racing, a huge variety of cars, disciplines, and constant development, passionate community, iRacing is probably the most complete package right now, by far. The only downside is the price. But if you're looking at the whole thing, like the whole package, what you're paying for and what you're getting out of it, in my opinion, it's worth it. Like, it's honestly worth it. But it all depends on what you want out of sim racing. There's no perfect sim, but there's probably one that's perfect for you. But yeah, you know, these are just my personal picks. You let me know in the comments what other suggestions you have, and if you agree or disagree. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!